Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Om Agyanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshur Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavisa Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Guru Shri Adavatkam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sagana Raghunatam Nitam Tam Sajiv Sahadetam Sahadutam Parjana Setam Krishna Chaitanya Dev Shri Radha Krishna Pada Savana Lalita Shri Vishakavatam Shri Krishna Karna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita. So today we are looking at the shloka number. I'm just sharing my screen. So today we will be discussing about shloka number 3.41, 3.39. Just a moment. ज्ञानम एतेन ज्ञानिनो नित्यवैरिना कामरूपेण कौन्तेय दुष्पुरेण अनलेन च. So this is the shloka which we discussed last week. In this, the translation is thus: the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by this eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So here we were discussing about the lust. So this idea of lust being like fire is acknowledged even in romantic literature. We can hear songs depicting this fire or this burning sensation of the lusty person singing the song. This is very common in Indian movies, the lust being depicted as fire. The point in these songs is that indulgence will calm down the fire of lust. Krishna here is pointing out dushpurenana analena cha. The indulgence only will aggravate the fire. So if you see here, dushpurena analena cha. So this fire of lust burns bigger and bigger because this fire is insatiable and the indulgence only results in fueling. When you add fuel to the fire, fire blazes more. It will not get extinguished. So there is a very good description of Yayati being captivated by lust in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 9.19.18. So 9th canto, 19th chapter, 18th shloka. You can say पूर्णं वर्ष सहस्रशं मे विषयान् सेवतो असकृत तथापि चानु सवनं तृष्णतेषुपजायते. I have spent a full 1000 years enjoying sense gratification, yet my desire to enjoy such pleasure increases daily. So you can say Vishayan means senses. So Sevata means is engaged in enjoying the senses. So even after spending thousands of years, Yayati is not satisfied. There is one more shloka. Na jatu kama kamana upabhogena samyati avisha krishna vartameva bhuyo eva vardate. As supplying butter to fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more. The endeavor to stop lusty desire by continual enjoyment can never be successful. In fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. So, lust will aggravate by intelligence. Dushpurenana analena cha. Lust will not get subdued by indulgence. Now we can ask a question that is there anything like dharmic lust? Lust seems to be a natural tendency, so there must be some way in which we can dovetail it for Krishna instead of representing it. We have already know that there is a word called nigraha kim karishyati. What can repression accomplish? So we need to dovetail. Can we dovetail lust to for Krishna? Will lust aggravate even if I engage in a dharmic way? So here we are in this shlokas from Yayati's history. We see that engaging lust it only increases the lust more. It is like getting fueled by intelligence. So what is the remedy? Even if I if lust will lust increase if I do it in dharmic way, whether even if I do it in dharmic way, will it get fueled by intelligence? Then other point is how is grihastha ashrama, where there is allowance for responsible sense gratification, support the varnashrama system. So these are some questions which we should answer. The basic understanding is that it is not the intelligence that purifies, but the observance of dharma in course of leading a grihastha life which brings the purification. So our view is completely different. We do not want to engage in get into married life to indulge in sense gratification, but to utilize the human form of life to practice dharma. That is our objective of getting into grihastha life. Srila Prabhupada will always differentiate between grihastha and grihamedi. Grihamedi is a person who is focused only in sense enjoyment. Grihastha, on the other hand, understands that sense gratification is part of life. Grihastha understands that when man and woman come together, there is sense gratification. He understands that this is just one part of life. The main part or center of life is Krishna. Following principles to satisfy Krishna. This is the center of life. What brings purification and realization is the understanding that Krishna is the center of our life and hence we should follow a dharmic life. This ensures self realization and purification. This brings out the point that there is higher happiness available. By following the dharmic life, we remain connected with the higher happiness. When we compare the higher happiness with the sensual happiness of the material world, we understand that the sensual happiness brings some initial excitement, but there is nothing great about it. This brings this realization that it is better for me to remain connected to the higher purpose, higher happiness, and give up the sensual happiness. This comparison happens only when we follow a dharmic life. This gradually helps us to subside the burning fire of lust. On the other hand, when we do not have the experience of higher happiness, we remain engaged in the sensual life, then we end up becoming more and more lusty. This results in trying lust with multiple partners, remaining dissatisfied, and doing harm to our own physique and psyche. This comes to the point that marriage itself is not an arrangement for sexual indulgence, but a part for understanding the higher happiness. By marriage arrangement, the center is dharmic life and purification of our existence. Since sexual indulgence in a dharmic marriage life is just a part of married life. So dushpurenana analena cha, this is something we cannot satisfy at all. There are dharmic allowances. Allowance means it is not license for indulgence, but work with responsibility and within the pillars of regulation. This objective, so the objective here is that we get higher taste so that we can give up our attachment for lower taste and hence minimize or reduce the fire of lust or free oneself from the fire of lust. Indulgence only will result in adding fuel to already blazing fire. Srila Prabhupada, here in his classical purport, Srila Prabhupada's purport to this verse is very classic. I'm sharing my screen here. So, you can see here, Prabhupada here uses the word maitunya agaraha or shackles of sex life. Nobody will ever imagine that sex life is like shackle. The basic idea is that sex life is only enjoyment. Where is the shackle? Shackle here refers to the material body. Sex ensures that we are embodied in the material world. The deeper understanding is that to engage in sex life, one need to identify strongly with the body. Thinking that I am the body itself is a cause of bondage. Desire to have sex will reinforce the bodily attachment. Hence, we get newer and newer bodies, birth after birth, till we come out of the sex desire and ends the bodily conception. This is the bondage of misidentification with body. Bondage becomes deeper when we act in bodily platform. Thus, sex life is shackled. The soul is bound to the body because of sex desire. This means the soul falls down to material platform because of sex desire. The soul gets a platform for enjoyment by this body. Hence, the soul gets embodied to fulfill this sexual desire. In broader sense, the material desire. So, sexual desire is one part. There is, in general, there is a larger material desire. Thus, the soul that does not want to serve Krishna but want to serve their senses are given a facility to get it done. The embodiment comes with suffering of birth, death, old age, and disease, and the threefold miseries of Adhyatmic, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Daivik. The Jiva, when embodied, is in illusion and hence tries to satisfy the senses to the maximum extent without any clue of the problems of material life. So if you see here, Prabhupada has written in this purport, advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. Therefore, this lust is the symbol of ignorance by which living entity is kept within the material world. While one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness, but actually, that so called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enemy of the sense enjoyer. This means that progress in the world is invention of finding newer and new things to enjoy senses. This results in more and more entanglement of soul in the bodily conception. So this only increases the duration of one's material existence. In the past, a person is lusty, so it is quite difficult for him to fulfill that outside marriage. But now, in current context, in a click of a button over internet, a person can get access to filthy images, perverse images, and access to illicit sex. So this platform only adds fuel to the burning fire of lust, thus shackling the jiva more and more. Statistics show that revenue generated from this porn industry is much more than what is generated by any sport or any form of entertainment. This shows the addiction of people to pornography. This is a serious addiction. This is the one of the aspect of lusty desire and overindulgence in one's lusty desire. If we see the technology today, especially the internet, there is high level of intelligence required to deploy something worldwide. So that is the real high technology, and this technology is based on material intelligence. The basic definition of advancement, if it's a technology advancement, then we see it is increasing the possibility of sense indulgent. And this sense indulgence, the advancement of sense indulgence is pointless. This technology advancement ends make people foolish and binds them more and more in material consumption. The people who work in these industries are not given free hand to do whatever they want. The so-called innovations in science and technology are channelized towards only two important things. One is weapon and another one is consumer industry. Weapons are defense systems. Consumer industry is for eating, sleeping, mating, and mating. Thus, the innovation and technology advancement fundamentally covers eating, sleeping, mating through consumer industry and defending through weapon industry. Thus, the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease and the three kleshas are not attended at all. Thus, all the efforts that we are doing which is considered as a modern advancement is actually pointless and is in vain. This is complete misuse of human birth. Focusing on sense gratification only increases the duration of living entities stay in the material world. Hence, suffering and duration of suffering and material existence of the living entity only gets prolonged. With this type of conception, the living entity gets more and more trapped in the material life. Whatever imagination of lust the jiva had before, the same now with this type of material existence blazes forth, and hence suffering becomes worst. So, if you see the last line here, while one enjoys sense gratification, it may be that there is some feeling of happiness. So Prabhupada is telling that this sense enjoyment or the sex life, it gives some feeling of happiness, but actually the so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate enjoyer of sense desire. This statement we need to embed in our art. Srila Prabhupada is saying that there is concession of happiness, but this happiness is enemy. It is this happiness which is depicted in movies, in novels, portrayed in songs by the poet in the current scenario. This is nothing but exaggeration of minuscule happiness, which Srila Prabhupada is clarifying here as our greatest enemy. Further, it is exaggeration because body's capacity to enjoy is very limited. We do not have capability to expand ourselves. Thus, the happiness depicted is in the movies and in the novels is very short-lived, and this ultimate enemy of the soul. Why is this enemy? This happiness or the feeling of happiness traps the person in material consciousness, and hence material world, which is characterized by repeated birth and death, he has to born here again and again. So man is trapped in the material world, chasing for this minuscule happiness. It is like mouse drawn to the cheese in a trap. The fleeting pleasure binds the soul to the inevitable consequences. Inevitable because once we indulge our senses, the consequences are inevitable. This feeling of happiness is our ultimate enemy. So this explanation is like a bitter pill to swallow. It is one thing to say, it is one thing to say that we should not do that, don't get involved in sense gratification. The reason is that it is only bad from the it is not only bad from the moral point of view. Today, moral view has become very personal. If we think it is bad, it is bad. Otherwise, there may be someone who thinks it is good, so it is good for him. This type of view is wrong. People think moral values are relative. This is a wrong thinking. Moral values, even if people do not believe in it, the suffering and complication comes in life, and this is not relative. Maybe a person who gets involved in illicit sex, he gets AIDS, where which is anybody who gets engaged in illicit sex gets AIDS. So where is the relativity? The consequence of immoral behavior is quite serious, and Prabhupada generally considers this type of illicit sex as obnoxious. He describes this as obnoxious behavior. Obnoxious is considered obnoxious because uh, it is deeper than noxious. Obnoxious is bad, and noxious is poisonous. Srila Prabhupada always uses the word obnoxious, abominable in whenever he is depicting the illicit sex. Why these terms are not on the basis of value judgment or on the basis of outdated sense of morality. We give the impression that people in the past, by telling this statement, we give the impression that the people in the past have given this moral rules, and now in current scenario these are not applicable. Obnoxious means more poisonous than the poison. Lust is obnoxious. This means that lust is more poisonous than the poison. In Hindi language, there are two terms: wish, wish, and which means poison, and vishaya. Vishaya means it refers to the objects of senses. Wish destroys only after consumption, but Vishaya, sense object, destroy just by contemplation. How do we understand this? We have a Bhagavad Gita shloka which is Dhyayato Vichayan Pumsa Sangas Tesu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodha Bhijayate. That means what? Dhyayato, while contemplating the objects of senses. So the entire series, a person develop attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develop, and from lust, anger arises. If you see 2.63, Krodha Bhavati Sammoha, Sammohat Smriti Vibhramaha, Smriti Brahmashat Buddhi Nasho, Buddhi Nashat Pranashyati. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. When intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So, just by looking at here 2.62 and 63, if you see 2.62 and 63, while contemplating the objects of senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down into material pool. So, just by contemplation, not poison acts only when we drink it or when we consume it, but sense objects attack us just by contemplating. So just by contemplating of sense objects, one has risk of falling down into material world. This shows contemplation on sense object results in complete contamination of one's consciousness. Therefore, the so-called feeling of happiness is the ultimate destroyer of one's consciousness. So, what Prabhupada is mentioning here, sense gratification, the so called feeling of happiness, results in contemplation of sense objects, and hence we fall down again and again. So, how does this enemy act? So, now we are talked about lust to a large extent. Now, we need to know this operates, this modus operandi, the way he acts. Where is he present? So, these are some prompting questions. So, here we saw Avarta becomes covered by this eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So, this is talking about, this is a description of lust. But where does he sit, or where is he, and how does he act? These are some things that we will see in our next shloka. Going to shloka number 40. Indriyani mano buddhir ashyadhisthanamuchyate ete vimoyati esha jnanam avarta dehinam. What does this mean? Indriyani mano buddhir. Indriyani mano buddhir means the senses, the mind, and intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. The senses, mind, and intelligence are sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So, now what happens is Ashyadishtanam. Indriyani Manobuddhir Ashyadishtanam. This is the place where they are located. Ether Vimoyati. Vimoyati means bewilders. Jnanam Avartya. Avartya means covering. Avartya means covering. So this is again a significant point. Lust is situated in our own senses, our own mind, and our own intelligence. Men have a habit, they always say that if women dress properly, we will be decent. If women dress improperly, we will be lusty. Going by the statement of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it is completely incorrect. The statement of men is completely incorrect. Lust is not situated in the female form or female dress. This could be understood by the fact that the baby does not get agitated when it is being fed by the child's mother. The same bodily part, when viewed by man, it may provoke lust. This means that baby is not provoked, but man is provoked. So the sense object is not the source of lust, but the vision of the man is lusty because his senses, mind, and intelligence is covered by lust. Lust is provoked by the sense object. Um, in this case, it is a female form and opposite sex form. Lust is present in our mind, intelligence, and senses. That is why it gets provoked. Now, we cannot therefore blame others if we become lusty. Lust is there within us. There is a sad phenomena of blame the victim. For example, if a woman is sexually harassed, we end up blaming her for the harassment. She went there, she went here, let that we blame her. She wore this, she did not wear dress properly, let that we blame her. And she is harassed even after she is getting sexually harassed. No matter how a woman dress, the responsibility of wrongdoing is on male who has forcibly violated a woman. Thus, responsibility is on male, not on the female. The character of the female does not matter here. Even if a woman is a prostitute, they cannot be forcibly violated. So the point here is that we cannot wash away our responsibility saying that somebody did not dress properly, hence we violated. The bad dressing or the behavior or appearance of women cannot be a license to do whatever we want. We need to act responsibly because Krishna is telling here that lust is nowhere else. It is within us, it is within our senses, mind and intelligence. There is a okay, there could be another perspective here. The way we dress and the way we behave sends messages to others about us. So if there is a person who is working in army, he wears a uniform, so that gives him the information that sends signal to others that this person is working in military. If there is a person from police department, he wears a uniform, so people perceive this. People perceive the person based on the dress that he wears. This is quite natural. So if we are Vaishnava, generally we put Vaishnava tilak, we have shika, then we wear Vaishnava dress. By just looking at us, it is possible to tell people that we are Krishna devotee. So our dress also sends signal. Now, if women wear dress which is revealing and provocative, etc., then they are sending messages that we want to be seen as sex objects. Women have to introspect what type of signal they need to send out to people. If that is not the message, if they want to send a message that they have to be viewed as sense objects, then they dress accordingly. If they want to send message that they are devotional, they are devotee, then they need to dress accordingly. If a person is walking through a dark and lonely alley in a city, carrying a lot of money visibly sticking out from its pocket, then definitely he is at no welcoming troubles. Robbers will take notice and pounce on him and steal his money. After being robbed, the person will go to the police to file complaint. The police will ask the person to explain the incident, and if the person narrates what happened, the police will naturally ask, why did you carry money visibly? If a person responds by saying, I am the citizen of the country and I have freedom to do so, I am pleased with my money, I can carry it wherever I like. This statement could be legally valid. However, this explanation misses the broader point of acting practically and acting responsibly. The issue is here is not about legal rights or citizens' freedom. From the legal standpoint, it does not matter whether money is revealed or concealed. If someone forcibly takes money, they have committed a crime and are punishable under law. So that part is straightforward and not in question. However, the focus here is applying common sense in a day-to-day situation. When money is openly displayed in a vulnerable setting, it only increases the risk of being robbed. While the robber's actions are illegal, individuals' behavior in this scenario is lacking prudence. The point is not to shift attention to legalities or culpability of the crime, as the law will take care of that. Instead, it is understanding the importance of being cautious. Displaying money carelessly is an invitation for a trouble. Common sense should guide actions to avoid unnecessary risk. We should not confuse matter of practical sense with a debate over moral or legal rights. This will muddy the overall situation. We need to understand the point which Krishna is making here. Basically, the person who is exposing money, sending a message that I have lot of money available, easily available, come and take. If a person exposing money argues that I am not sending any message, however, I will keep money like this, that is a wrong understanding of reality. If we expose money, the message others pick up is only one thing: more money easily available. Hence, we can pounce and take the money. This message is conveyed whether we want or not. Similarly, when a woman they dress in such a way that reveals provocative parts of their body, people will get agitated. This is irrespective of whether they want to send a message or not. Some women may want to send message. This is a free world. Everybody has freedom to do whatever they want. They may want to send a message that I am an attractive woman. I want to show off, but no one should touch me. They should be amazed at how beautiful I am. I want to see how people stare at me, looking at my awesome bodily features and beauty. I want other people's attention, but they should not touch me. If we dress in certain ways, certain messages will be sent. People will then respond in that way. Other point here is, so definitely one is lust is fixed in our senses, mind, and intelligence, but lust can also be provoked by the sense object. So that is the point I am coming here. Then the contemplation on sense object starts, which is dangerous. The other point is that lust is not only situated in male senses, it is situated also in the female senses. The sense regulation is applicable both to men and women. Women regulate the senses by dressing properly, modestly, concealing their body. Dress should not be provocative. Thus, both men and women have to share the responsibility to overcome lust. Without this, we will be overcome by lust and we will fall prey to it. In that situation, it doesn't really matter whether the women has dressed improperly or men has acted lustily. There is no point in discussing because we have all fallen down. We will fall down further if we dwell on sense objects and fall prey to lust. Summarizing this, lust is situated in mind, sense, and intelligence. One has to free oneself from its influence. How we can conquer and control lust will be discussed by Krishna himself in subsequent verses. So we will take to that soon. We can easily understand how lust affects our mind and senses. When we think of a sense object, it is captured by the sense, and mind understands that this is what it is, and we are able to understand link mind and senses. But how lust is situated in intelligence? Normal understanding is that intelligence always enables us to see danger of lust, and hence intelligence should flee from lust. Then why does Krishna say that lust is situated in intelligence also? So this is something which we should understand. Lust is very powerful that it takes away or covers our intelligence. This results in intelligence being used to fulfill the lust rather than curbing lust. How can we understand this? Let us take the example of internet. Internet is an amazing technology. It can be used for spreading Krishna consciousness. This is curbing the lust. When we use this technology to spread pornography, then it becomes intelligence working for lust. This uh, lust or the intelligence, this intelligence, wrong intelligence, perpetuates and propagates lust. This is wrong application of intelligence. Intelligence gets perverted by lust. The person can become extremely dangerous when his intelligence is covered by lust. The person is not only impelled by whimsical passion, but also by methodical madness that comes in the person. For example, there are some serial killers, serial rapists. They are all brutal people. They make a plan to catch the victim and they brutalize the victim. Hence the person, here the person is acting in a lust, and is using his intelligence to fulfill his perversion. And we can have one more case. In another case, when the enjoyment mentality becomes too strong, Um, but we want to maintain an impression that I am a senior devotee, I am a Vaishnava. We then try to find ways which no one's find ways to indulge our senses, but ensures that no one sees it. We take all possible precaution so that nobody finds out what we are doing. Rather than thinking about people finding out, we should be worried about why lust is finding us and making a victim. So we make plans to ensure that nobody cap- catches us when we are indulging in lust. We must be worried why no, lust has found ourselves. This is very, very important. Why am I letting lust find me out? This should be our question. If we stay strong in Krishna consciousness, lust cannot attack us and torment us. People can enjoy intelligently. So, this is the way we can enjoy intelligently. That is by dovetailing ourselves to Krishna consciousness. Okay, so I think I will spend 2 more minutes. Srila Prabhupada in one of the letter writes that intelligence should be for giving up one's enjoying mentality rather than enjoying senses intelligently. We use our intelligence to enjoy rather than curbing the enjoyment. Now, the enjoyment by itself is not wrong. The soul is meant to enjoy. There is an enlightened enjoyment and ignorant enjoyment. At spiritual level, it is enlightened, and at bodily level, it is ignorant. It is ignorant enjoyment. As devotee, we should at least at the level of transition, we should be at the level of transition. That is, we should taper down our um, ignorant enjoyment and ramp up our spiritual enjoyment. There is a regulated bodily enjoyment is allowed. For example, we want to eat good food, so we can offer it to Krishna. So that is a good way. But on Ekadashi day, we do not do this. So this is tapering down sense enjoyment and engaging in spiritual intelligence. That is why at sadhaka stage, at least in our initial stages of spiritual life, we cannot rely much on our intelligence. We cannot trust our intelligence. Too much reliance on intelligence at the sadhaka stage will mislead us. Sometimes we may go into a temptation, and at that time we become overconfident, saying that nothing is going to happen to us. This is just a service. There is no other alternate motive. This may be true at the initial stage, but it may be true even eventually. You want to continue the service, but we do not know. As soon as we start engaging with sense object, there is a corrosion in our intelligence. So I stop here. Um, Stop here. I Any questions? Just sharing my screen. I want to show something. So in today's discussion, we have covered some 5 questions. What is Krishna's perspective on indulgence of intelligence as described? Whatever I have discussed today. What is distinction between grihastha and a grihamedi in the context of sense gratification and dharmic life? And how does the concept of higher happiness helps us in controlling lust according to the passage? Where does the passage state lust resides and how does it influence our behavior? And how does passage address societal attitudes towards responsibility and lust, particularly in case of sexual misconduct? These are some five questions that we have discussed in today's class. I stop here. Any questions? If there are no questions, then we will stop here. Thank you very much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभैः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंद हरे हरे हरे। Thank you very much. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji.